Welcome to the Three Peas in a Pod. I'm Patches.
I'm Paddles.
And I'm Paddles.
So today, as we mentioned yesterday's episode, but it got cut short, so we got to update that episode. But sorry about that, folks. We're doing a NASA tribute to Apollo 1, Challenger, and Columbia tragedies. So we're all doing our own different portion, and we hope you stay tuned for that. But just some nice little memorabilia about NASA. Patches and I own a 50-year collection of tragedies and triumphs of space exploration.
50-year anniversary of NASA.
And this actually includes Columbia, which was really awesome. The only problem is, in the beginning of the first 3 discs, sadly sounds like all space music, and I don't know, it was a huge turnoff for me. But it's a really good documentary nonetheless. So we have that to show you. Also, this. Now, this is my favorite shirt growing up. It has the Kennedy Space Center. It has Apollo 1 patch, the Space Shuttle patch, and the NASA logo. I'm not wearing it now because it would be really tight on me, and it looks better to show like this instead of on me.
Let's just put it like up close so we can see it like that.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
But no, we just want to show some NASA memorabilia. But we're just going to do some facts, nothing too much. So stay tuned, have fun of learning new things, and if there's anything you want to talk about, like upcoming NASA stuff, let us know. So without further ado, on to you, Patches.
Thank you, Paddles. The first one that will be told to you, I'm telling you facts about Apollo 1. First fact, of course, we're the astronauts. Who's watching, you probably know like at least 1 or 2. The command pilot was Virgil Gus Grissom. The senior pilot was Edward H. White II, and the pilot was Roger B. Chaffee. It was the first manned mission of the U.S. Apollo program, scheduled to launch on February 21st, 1967. It's really not synonymous because everyone was really excited about that. Of course, with Apollo 1, everything back then was very complicated. And after the disaster happened, it wouldn't be until Apollo 7 achieved their mark 20 months later in October of 1968. So that was big resolve from NASA to do their homework and make sure that what happened to Apollo 1 didn't happen again. The third fact, the atmosphere inside the module they were in, it was pure oxygen. And when I mean oxygen, I mean it was a lot of oxygen, more than the whole Earth. And it was that led to the fire breakout to intensify so much. And all that oxygen quickly turned into deadly carbon monoxide. And that was the cause of death issued by NASA on all 3 astronauts. And the fourth fact about Apollo 1, this mission was to last just 14 days in low Earth orbit. Not to go to the moon, but to merely test the Saturn IV rocket for its potential for lunar travel. So those are my 4 facts about Apollo 1. And now it's on to Paddles for her selection.
Thank you, Patches. Couple things. All our socials are mostly from Wikipedia, and we're not sponsored by this DVD collection. It was just because we're doing NASA tribute. That's why we're showing this. Challenger happened on January 28th, 1986. Everybody knows it exploded after 76 seconds after liftoff. So it was a huge tragedy since Apollo 1, and everyone's thinking, how we haven't had a situation like this in so long. So what was the reason? So I'm just going to do some basic facts, nothing really in depth of what happened in the tragedy, just because we have documentaries for that and movies. So I'm just going to just do some small facts. The 7 astronauts were Francis R. Scobie, he was the commander. Michael J. Smith was the pilot. Ronald McNair was the mission specialist. I hope I'm saying his name properly. I'm sorry if I'm not. Ellison Onizuka was also a mission specialist. Judith Resnick was a mission specialist as well. Gregory Jarvis was a payload specialist. And Kristen McAuliffe was a payload specialist, also a teacher. That was another thing that was so huge about Challenger was it was the first time where there was like a lottery and like a drawing, a contest of teachers around the United States to enter to become an astronaut for Challenger. And Kristen McAuliffe was the evidential winner. And sadly, she, along with the 6, perished that fateful day. Although Challenger's first flight was the STS-6 from April 4th to the 9th in 1983, the last flight was the STS-51-L on January 28th, 1986, which happened on that fateful day. Challenger was also involved in 10 missions overall, and the overall time it was in space was 62 days, and Challenger had a total of 995 orbits and 10 satellites deployed in its whole career. That's about for Challenger, but I was, as we did like the introduction episode, when Petals asked the question to Patches if I wanted to be an astronaut, I was a huge NASA fanatic. This is just some minor stuff I owned throughout the years, but when Petals talks about Columbia, it was that because I want to become a rocket scientist, no longer an astronaut. So, thank you for listening to me about Challenger. If you have more questions, let us know about Apollo 1 or Challenger for that matter. On to you, Petals.
Thank you, Paddles. I know this episode is not easy to listen to, but I feel that it has to be said, and I feel that all the astronauts have to be honored in some way. But I'm going to talk about the Space Shuttle Challenger Columbia disaster, which occurred on February 1st, 2003, when it disintegrated over Texas and Louisiana as it re-entered the orbit, Earth's atmosphere. Alright, during its 20th mission, a piece of foam insulation broke off from the external tank and struck the left wing. That sounds pretty serious. As it re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, hot atmospheric gases penetrated and destroyed the external wing structure, which caused the shuttle to slowly break apart. And tragically, all the 7 crew members did not survive. Oh gosh, that is so difficult. And as a dedication to these brave heroes, I would like to discuss about them, what they did, and who they were. The first one was Commander Rick D. Husband, who was the U.S. Air Force colonel and mechanical engineer who piloted a previous shuttle during the first docking with the International Space Station. The second was pilot William C. McCool, a U.S. Navy commander. The third was payload commander Michael P. Anderson, a U.S. Air Force lieutenant colonel, a physicist and mission specialist who was in charge of the science mission. The fourth crew member was payload specialist, I think it's Eon
Ramon.
Yes, Eon Ramon, a colonel in the Israeli Air Force, and the first Israeli astronaut, which I think is pretty cool. Then there was mission specialist Kalpana Chawla, an Indian-born aerospace engineer who was on her second space mission. Then we have mission specialist David M. Brown, a U.S. Navy captain trained as an aviator and flight surgeon. Brown worked on the scientific experiments. And finally, we have mission specialist Laurel Blair Salton Clark, a U.S. Navy captain and flight surgeon. Clark worked on the biological experiments. Now, my 4 facts are. Just give me 1 second. My 4 facts were: the 1, Columbia was often referred to as OV-102, which stood for Orbiter Vehicle 102. That I didn't really know. Second fact was the orbiter weighed 170,000 pounds with its main engines installed. That is unbelievably heavy. Like, I can't even imagine how heavy that spacecraft was. My third fact is, let's see now. Patches, I'm sorry. I know you talk about sports all the time.
Yes,
I hope you don't mind if I give this fact.
Not at all. Go ahead.
And I hope you enjoy it.
Mm.
In a display of national pride, the crew of STS-73, which was another flight, even threw the ceremonial pitch for Game 5 of the 1995 Basketball World Series, marking the first time the pitcher was not only outside of the stadium but out of this world.
I don't mean to interrupt. Did you mean baseball or?
Yep, baseball.
I thought you said basketball.
No, I said baseball. Baseball World Series, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And my final fact was Columbia's crowning achievement was the deployment of the Chandra X-ray Observatory in July 23rd, 1999. This X-ray telescope specialized in viewing the deep space objects and finding the answers to astronomy's most fundamental questions. And there it is. Those are my 4 facts.
I want to mention. Sorry, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
I hope you enjoyed them.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something. I don't know if a lot of people know this. If you're from South Florida, like the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, before the Miami Marlins became the Miami Marlins or the Florida Marlins, the old stadium they played on actually had a tribute to Columbia's disaster, and they had like the badge, and when they're on the either like center field or right field, so like every time like you saw it, there was like a little display that they showed as a commemoration and respect for those people who perished that fateful day.
Wow.
So that was really fun to see that and very honorable. So
That was funny because the Marlins in that same year when it Challenger, Columbia, sorry. The same year when Columbia disintegrated, the Marlins won the World Series.
Yeah.
How funny is that?
Very coincidental. But yeah, I'm a huge NASA fanatic. I'm not as big as I used to be because I was so distraught how I wanted to be a rocket scientist, but mathematics is not my friend. My dream college was Embry-Riddle University, and sadly I'm not a mathematician. Because it's mainly 80% mathematics, 20% science, and I have the science portion right. I'm good at that. The math is like new. Oh well, I can talk NASA to patches and pedals, so hey, that's a win-win. But that's it for today. We hope you would at least learn some stuff about these tragedies, and next we're going to talk about the successful missions like Apollo 11, Apollo 13, and really anything else that we think is really significant in Apollo's history, and also like other shuttles that were not mentioned today. So thank you for watching us, and as always, the 3 pieces of the pod.
Me patches.
Me paddles.
And me pedals.
Bye.
Bye.